Welcome to my channel. This video will be a little bit of just digital work and chatting. Since my last video 2 weeks ago, I felt like I wanted to change things up. Currently on screen, I'm drawing a comic page. It's one of my favorite things to draw, random comic pages. This one is titled Getting Back on the Wagon. I think you may get why as I continue explaining my fun stresses I had recently. Being an artist is great, am I right? Get into the technical side of things, of what's going on screen. Normally I've been posting more traditional stuff, but I will on occasion post also digital stuff, so I am completely mixed media in that sense that I will do digital and traditional. But yeah, just a little side note about my channel if you are totally new. But first, I'll get into the technical side of what's happening on screen. Feels like it makes sense. Even if in sped up it looks like I'm struggling, it's because I am. I actually started this sketch on my iPad, then transferred it to my computer because I really wanted to draw in Clip Studio Paint since I just recently got it. Only had it for about a week. I was really excited to try out at least some features, that the reason why I even got it, especially the comic panel stuff. I got the program also because I got fed up with Adobe. Photoshop just feels like it's never actually putting artists first, you know, like the sketchy, painterly, comic kind of artists, especially with its latest AI obsession and all the shady crap it's enjoying participating in that I feel like is against artists anyway. Like features like perspective snapping, the shift plus holding to make straight lines, or features that I feel like should also have been created and much more robust by now in Photoshop, since even in Procreate for the longest time it's had such great features, and that program was like a one-time fee of like $8 or something when I first got it. I don't know if it's like a monthly now, I have no idea, but like I'm one of the OG users, I guess you could say, so I have no idea. I have no idea if Clip Studio had all these features too. They probably have or something, just because I feel like a lot of other art programs I had tried out even 5 years ago did. So yeah. Yeah, but I'm really loving Clip Studio so far. It's been a fun struggle learning. Working in programs like Clip Studio or Procreate, I just feel more like an artist and less like a milked cash cow. And because I'm somehow having to find workarounds for comic artist features in Photoshop when I am doing it. Like, it feels like way more extra steps. Like, don't get me wrong, it has its benefits for sure, Photoshop, but I swear paying monthly and then claiming it's all for updates and super great features, it just feels like crap. Like, I feel like there hasn't been as many updates as there was when it was like, you know, you're buying like Photoshop 6, 7, 8 or whatever, and CS1, CS2, CS3, right? Like, it felt like bigger jumps when you were paying for a new version every year as opposed to this monthly thing. I don't even know. It's weird to me. Do you agree? Do you feel the same? Do you love Photoshop? Like, totally respect if you still love drawing in it. I still find it's useful. Like, I use it for my 9 to 5 for work and stuff, and it is what it is. But yeah. Yes, I do know Clip Studio also made the controversial decision to make it also a monthly subscription fee, but they are still selling perpetual licenses, and that's the one I actually got. So also several weeks back, I was crashing and burning with this idea on what to draw, where I was going with any of this, and all that jazz. I suppose, like, classic artist existential crisis. Probably that happens to many artists maybe every couple of weeks, so that's fun. And I had to pick myself up, tell myself not to be so dramatic, and just assess and try to move forward with a better plan, because I think I was just mostly overthinking things. It wasn't the kind of crashing and burning where, you know, maybe you were overworking yourself. It was just probably a need for reorganizing. Hence the comic on screen. I felt like I fell off a wagon and hit my head and lost track and was wandering around a desert or something until I came to and got all my memories back and needed to collect all my thoughts and get back to it. Yeah, normally most of my random comic pages are not that deep. I think the last one I had drawn was just me overbuying things at an art store. But this one, amongst all the things that were buzzing in my head, I just started sketching it out. I know the composition and some of the drawing it needs work, but honestly I feel like you kind of need the bad pancake or a rough warm-up in between, I guess, better pieces. Sometimes even the finished works can't all be your best, and this is more or less something I needed to get out of my system, having an actual planned artwork. So having this as a practice piece with a new program is more practical than just randomly doodling in it to figure it out, since you are in a sense creating a scenario you'd be in for a more serious artwork. And like I said, this was something that I felt like I did need to get out of my system amongst all my chaotic thoughts of trying to organize stuff, and I guess it's just like the embodiment of it. Plus I kind of really felt like drawing horses and a weird kind of cowboyish Wild West scene. I don't know. I really like it though. Even with any little bit of wonkiness, I do enjoy it, and it was fun. So there's your tip of the day. If you are struggling with the idea of trying out a new program, just create a project and try and finish it in the new program. This was definitely a struggle, to be honest, just because I didn't know all where everything was. So a lot of times I'd go back and forth all over with it. Alright, so to go into further explanation of the falling off the wagon sort of thing, I felt I got overwhelmed all of a sudden by a lot of things. I felt for my art, I wasn't too happy with where it was going, you know. It was mostly, I think, due to looking towards other people's arts and artworks and, you know, comparing myself to them too much as opposed to, you know, just focusing on my own. There was also the aspect where I felt like the film and video editing was taking up time from my practice and daily sketch work, which I feel really benefited me in the past because in 2021 I started marathoning, basically trying to become better at drawing characters, and when I look back from before then and now, I have improved greatly, but you know, sometimes it's a little scary when you feel like you're plateauing, or when you look at a previous sketchbook and somehow you're panicking thinking, I feel like all these artworks are way better than now. And it's a bit of a terrifying thought, but like also looking back at my sketches in my current couple of months, I realized I think it's just because I wasn't putting enough time and effort, and it was just, you know, sketching for the sake of sketching thing, which can be a really bad thing because then you're not really putting any focus or effort and it just becomes a little bit muddled. So that is probably another issue. It's basically just needing to stop and collect your thoughts, right? Sometimes you need to slow down and just rethink things, and maybe you're overthinking things, and maybe you just need to reorganize how all of your free time and how you're using it and things like that. Reason number 2, or is it 3 at this point, I don't even know, that I got stressed is because I'm about to launch my stickers for sale, but I was having a horrible time photographing them. I'm not a master photographer by any means. I also hate having to photograph small things, products, anything when you know you have the pressure of having to make it look really good, but you're not an expert at it. And I'm just a hobbyist when it comes to photography. I don't feel like I'm a complete novice, but I also don't enjoy it enough to move on to, you know, leveling up that skill. So yeah, first round of photographs for the stickers, absolute shit. Second round, total crap. Third round, half-baked. I think only fourth round they were starting to become much better, but I still needed to do multiple reshoots for a bunch of them. I think the biggest thing must be, as I recalled after I finished, is I think I need a macro lens for my DSLR or something. I think that's a thing, because this is kind of like a general, it came with the box lens. So yeah, for any photographers screaming out there, yes, I know, I probably need to educate myself better in taking pictures of small things. Yeah, so absolute agony. Like, if my side hustle takes off, you better believe I will hire a photographer first before any assistant, a manager or video editor, or even an accountant when I have the money for it, just because it's so stressful. Hopefully I'll actually learn on my own, so we'll see. As mentioned at the near beginning, another thing that was also causing me to crash and rethink things is creating videos. Now, video editing is something I actually really enjoy. It's unlike photography. I mean, again, I enjoy photography, but as like a hobby level and just playing around with it, and never really going too serious with that. But for video editing, I have actually, done it for my 9 to 5, not consistently or anything, but I find it enjoyable, even at not something I would, do nonstop as a professional level thing, but as an addition to drawing, I find it's a useful skill to have anyhow. But again, I'm like moderate levels of it, not really exceptional. When you're not using or your skills consistently, you're not necessarily getting better. So when I started this YouTube endeavor, I figured I would give it a few months and see if the weekly posting schedule was viable and working for me and how I would manage with it. And I have come to the conclusion that it is not. I was not feeling like I was coming up with quality stuff, and at least for it to be presented neatly as a YouTube video, even if my artwork turned out really nice, and I really liked it, if the filming of it was kind of jank, then I don't know if it would be of any use to anybody or how many people would really enjoy it. I know they're just like my first videos kind of thing, but I like to identify the problems early on and work towards some better quality anyhow. It just bothers me even at this point, and the scheduling obviously isn't really quite working for me. Also, since I am new at this thing, I was only limiting myself to just talking about whatever was happening on the screen, and it felt weird because there would then be these gaps of silence. I know I felt it with music, but I don't know, like everything about it was making me feel weird, and I wasn't quite enjoying it. And it's not like I was getting a lot of views on it anyway, so I was like, well, maybe then if I'm not enjoying it and nobody's enjoying it, I don't know the purpose of it at all, right? So might as well change things up. And yeah, I feel like it also takes time to write a good script too, and that's kind of, I think, the biggest key thing that I discovered for myself, that I just need more time, and with more time and practice, I'd get better with doing all of this, and then I would become faster, and maybe I would then be able to keep up with a weekly schedule. But for now, I think I might go for 2 weeks, maybe every 2 weeks. Note, because this is recording myself drawing digitally on my computer, it's kind of weird. It's like the first time I've actually managed to successfully do it. Like Procreate does it automatically, so I don't even think about it. I always have that feature flicked on, and I think originally it's just turned on. It's a much faster thing, so it's not as robust and great if you're like using OBS or whatever to actually record your desktop screen. Anyway, does anybody else feel more stressed when they record digitally than traditionally? Like, I know that traditionally you have to take all this time to set up the camera or the phone or whatever in the proper angle, and make sure that there's enough space on the camera, make sure the battery's charged, and this entire process, and then set up and like really get in the zone of doing it or something. But for myself, I don't know why, but even though you just have to push a button there, it feels way more stressful. I have no idea why that's the case for myself. I feel like perhaps it's a confidence thing and just how I'm using the tools, even though I feel like traditionally I mess around a lot, and maybe that's why, because it feels, even when you're messing around, I can't even say even when you're messing around traditionally it won't look bad, because it can still look bad and you can't even erase it. And it's, I guess, even more obvious if you delete it or something. So yeah, does anybody else have that? Are you more stressed recording digitally than traditionally? And yeah, because I will say I don't think I've ever started myself recording when I start off a sketch. I haven't done that yet, so maybe I'd probably feel more pressure in that sense rather than starting a final artwork with the sketch already done. So maybe that's it. Even though, like, for this thing, for example, this artwork that I'm doing, this is where it starts off. It's already the second the second rough pass or something, so, and then right into the final kind of thing. So yeah. Also, can I say I hated the brush I chose to work with to do the digital line art for this artwork? If anybody has been screaming this entire time, why are you using that brush? Yeah, it was a struggle. I don't know, maybe some of you actually love that brush, so that's kudos to you, but I realized I really did not like it. I think it's because you have to apply way more pressure for this particular brush, which in some instances is fine, but I didn't quite enjoy the feeling of it. It felt weird because I had actually downloaded 2 other like more sketchy brushes, which I was enjoying when I was doing this other random sketch when I was first testing out Clip Studio Paint. But for this one, I felt like it wasn't working with, I don't know if it's because of the size of the file or something, it looked kind of weird. And so I abandoned that and picked one of the standard brushes, but I don't know why I didn't pick the top standard brush. So yeah, it was all around really weird feeling. I kind of got used to it by the end of it because I did all the panels essentially with it, and I switched, I think, to the top main brush, or top, not brush, sorry, it's pen. That's another thing. If like I kept hitting the B key because in Photoshop you only have like brush or something in terms of like the choices for the tools, they're not divided up, and the P key is here for like just using as like the pen type of media, and it kind of threw me off so much. Yeah, I talk about all this crashing and burning that happened 2 weeks ago, and have I made any changes, seeing as I posted a video now 2 weeks later. 2 weeks is a short time, but yes, I have. I think I decided for the most part I will be putting out videos perhaps every 2 weeks to have more time for even thinking of what to draw, being able to sketch more, which would more likely lead to better art and better content, because why come to an art YouTuber with subpar art? Or, well, at least cranking out crap for the sake of having video. Also, feel free to turn me saying "so yeah" into a drinking game. I feel like I kind of insert that whenever I end or begin a sentence or something, unintentionally, even though it's not in the script. So, yay! If you got this far in the video, thanks for watching and listening, and stay tuned for the next one. Also, nearly forgot to also say October 1st is when the stickers are launching, so that should be a Sunday, meaning the following day after this video. It should be launching in the evening. So yeah, like and subscribe, and I hope you check them out. And I nearly forgot to mention the stickers will be launched just in a few days, October 1st, so stay tuned. I will also be dumping a video here talking about it, and also links, so yeah, stay tuned.